What I was saying when the microphone was not working was a topic I've been keeping to myself that I wasn't sure, am I going to put it in writing? Is it going to be a podcast? Whatever it is, the topic is glamour for girls with scram tethers. I don't have a tether currently, but I did have one. And that's another conversation for another day, like the whole conversation, because there's a lot that I think can be reflected on with that. Um as a matter of fact, I still might keep that to myself. What I will say is this: a good moisturizer is essential, and you want some thick socks. And it's easier to deal with one in the winter when it can be covered up as opposed to not. Um, and that's a little example of how the end of my 2025 went. That being said, that's not why I wanted to hop in here today. I just wanted to get back on live and check in with everybody and see what's going on in the world. My little curls are growing back in. They're curly now. They're doing their thing. It's actually warm as shit in here. It is so warm in here. I'm gonna show you guys a baby picture. I redid the whole altar room and I got so many pictures out right now. It's not a baby picture, but that's when I was like a toddler. I don't even know if it shows well on the camera. Anyway, I am. Oh, and I got cards out too. I grabbed cards if people want to pull cards. Um, so it's been. I'm just excited to be here. Oh my goodness. It has been such a nice beginning to 2026. And I will say, like, the court things are still being worked out. Uh, but in that meantime, I have been having such a strong return to myself. And this is what I mean when I talk about, I'm looking for the right words because I feel like I'm the rebirth queen. Like I'm always entering the underworld and coming back up. Hello, peace and greetings. Yay. But I'm always coming back up from the underworld of something, right? So this last round of the underworld was the court stuff and restarting another sobriety journey, which is interesting because, like, this is so weird to me. I feel like the visible area on mobile part of the screen is throwing me off. That's beside the point. It's been very interesting to me because it hasn't really been the change with the alcohol relationship, right? I spent years working on that. I wasn't really drinking a lot anyway. But the change in the relationship with cannabis and the change in the relationship with my gifts and the return to my body, the return to my spirit in deeper ways has been very eye-opening, to say the least. And something made me realize the other day, I'm going to take these off and put them back on and take them off and put them back on. Something made me realize the other day that a space where I was very disconnected, or more disconnected than I realized, right? I don't even know how to say it. This is why I tend to write more than I talk, because the words, like, just they don't come together the way I want them to. When I was much younger, and I wrote about this and I recently recorded a podcast talking about it, but when I was much younger, I used to, like, listen to everything. And it's kind of overwhelming, right? To have your senses always taking in information, like the trees, the wind, the birds, everything is talking, everything is talkative, it all has something to say. But over the years, and I mean over like a 10-year period, not just this section, but over like a 10-year period or more, I think life got really hard in spaces. And there are spaces where I started to leave myself behind. And that doesn't mean I was always leaving myself behind, but there are spaces where I leaned more into the day to day and work and material and farther away from my, not my inner world, but I leaned away from the interconnection space of my inner world, right? Like I would be stuck in my head, but I wasn't conversing with the essence or the hum or that cosmic whatever the way I used to. So something that's been interesting about this journey, moving taking a long break from cannabis, which was initially court ordered, but I'm going to take my blessings where I get them, because you need to respect plants, and part of working with plants and being a conjurer and being a medium is respecting the medicine and respecting the plant, but also knowing when something is no longer supporting you, right? And again, forgive me for talking in circles and spaces because it's just something that I do. But anyway, over that 10-year period, I started to smoke more and more and more. And there's nothing wrong with smoking. I'm never going to villainize or demonize that. But what I realized is that for a lot of people, it might help them open up or connect to their gifts more or whatever. But for me, it was putting like blinders on my eyes and like, on my ears. Like it was making it so I was getting more separated from myself. And this is its own intricate, complex, multifaceted issue, right? When you connect things like body trauma from earlier years and in the present, well, not this current present, but at the time, body traumas and changing home and food insecurity, all of these things. There's a bundle of things that I dealt with over like a 7-year period that resulted in multiple home changes and all of this other stuff. And as those cycles played out, and I continued to smoke more and more and more, I was getting farther away from my dream world. And from when I say dream world, I don't just mean like my goals or my ambitions, those exist, but like my very, very vibrant dream life. Like there are dreamscapes and things that I constantly return to, and the communications of them. I started relying on, I'm looking for the right words. I stopped trusting myself. That's what it is at the core. I stopped trusting myself. I stopped trusting my inner language. I stopped trusting my innate language. And I started looking for deeper or clearer or whatever confirmations from outside of myself. And there are seasons, you know what I mean, full of questions. There are seasons where we're asking, where we're getting that insight from other spaces. And we should, in general, still get check-ins from people who are more skilled, be challenged by people who are more skilled, get check-ins from elders, stuff like that, right? But those things should never supersede your inner knowing. They should never go above your inner knowing. And as I felt myself in a way getting sucked to the bottom of the abyss in this cycle of things, I kept getting farther and farther from myself. So I'm going to summarize that all up and just say this journey with not smoking and not really having any crutches of any kind to rely on has resulted in such a fascinating rebirth of my gifts in full. And mind you, I've been reading this whole time. I've been a card reader and a medium. I've been a medium my whole life. I've been a card reader for over 10 years. And as I've said before, and prayerfully, I will continue to say for the rest of my life, it has put gas in the tank and food on the table. Um, but, but there's a difference between, I think, being a skilled reader or, using like a quarter of your gifts or whatever, and being fully in tune with yourself, regardless of how comfortable or uncomfortable that is. And that's something that I've been sitting with and meditating on. And I say all that as pretext to dreaming as a return to myself, right? So a few this has been ongoing since November, and it's almost February, so maybe a month and a half ago, maybe a month ago, my dreams started to change, and not just the, clearing up from daily smoking or working through, anxiety and stuff, because that's always a part of it. Pardon me, but my dreams started to really change. And they started to return to that space of information. And I had this kind of laugh with myself today looking at the bookshelf because it was like, there's a dream dictionary that I've had since I was like 10 or 11. I've just been carrying it from house to house to house as part of my collection. We've got my partner and I probably up to 600 books in the house at this point, which is absolutely absurd. But our collections have grown over the years together, and I've inherited some, yada, yada, yada. So, anyway, long story short, um, there's this dream dictionary, and I'm just laughing at it because it's like, what's the point of having this? What is the use of this to me when my dreams tell me exactly what I need to know, when they are talking to me directly? Okay. And an easy thought is what I shared the other day on Substack about my ancestors telling me they liked my cooking. And it was very funny because I was in the grocery store in the dream, and there's somebody came up to me. They're like, you really been cooking. Like, you really been cooking something crazy. And I was like, oh my God, thank you. Because I have. But but other times there are dreams about literally, returning to myself, returning to my body. Uh, like what? Like I was eating a ton of sweets in my dreams for like 3 weeks in a row, and there were like dream after dream after dream. I was eating these cakes and candies and cookies. Um, and I've always done things like that, read and eat and whatever in my dreams. There's not really stuff that I don't do there. Uh, but it's interesting to take that information and pull it into my day to day, right? So something I've struggled with pretty vulnerably and openly, or rather openly and vulnerable about it, is spaces of pleasure. And again, that's a tie into trauma. But feeling separate from my body, right? Feeling separate from my body because my body doesn't always feel safe. And it's been interesting to return to pleasure in dreaming, to return to reward in dreaming, to return to joy in dreaming. And then bring that information forward. It's a very cool space to recognize where my conscious and subconscious are joining hands or intertwining their work, right? So anyway, what made me think of all of this before I just started talking? What made me think about all of this was drawing recently. I paint, I draw, I do digital art, yada yada yada. I've always been interested in and inclined toward visual exploration and visual expression, right? Like I was one of those kids who like always had a camera even when I was little. I would just like take pictures of the inside of the fucking fridge or take pictures out of the back windshield when my parents were driving. That's beside the point right now. Oh, I was gonna say my room is full of art, and it is, but it's hard to see right now because it's put away. Maybe I'll grab a couple of the big paintings that I have. I'm trying to figure out what to do with them. But anyway, I was looking at some colored pencil sketches, and they're downstairs, and I'm not going down there right now at this point. But one of them I was drawing when a friend was over, and I was drawing in semi-darkness, and I should note that I have a hard time seeing once it starts getting dark. I'm nearsighted and farsighted, and I have difficulty seeing the darker it gets. And this is important for a reason. So I'm drawing and I'm just sketching different colors, yada yada yada. It's just an abstract drawing. My cat sits on the fucking sketch pad. I love him so much. But you know what I mean? He's putting feline energy on it. And then we jokingly called it the portal because my friend says this looks like a portal. And I was like, you know what? It kind of does. And I added some other things. I added some little different key pieces with Sharpie so that it stood out very boldly against this abstract, colorful background. And we ended up talking about astrology and mediumship after that because we've been friends for years. I've done readings for this person, yada, yada, yada. I say yada, yada, yada a lot. Anyway, so I've done readings for them and we've talked about these topics very candidly for a long time. I used to read cards in shops and stuff like that. And as we're talking, I can feel the energy opening up. And what I mean by that, and if you're a medium, you probably know what I'm talking about, but everybody's gifts function differently, so I don't wanna assume. But I could feel the space opening up, and that was very fascinating to me because I had almost forgotten that feeling. Um, it's different than it's different than just receiving messages while doing readings. It's like a I struggle for words here, right? Because when you're doing readings, of course, I feel things in my body. I see them in different spaces in my mind's eye or over this shoulder or over that shoulder, or, the words just come in or a whole picture just comes in and I have to turn that into words. That is different and in some spaces lesser in degree and intensity than the experience of a whole space, an energetic space opening, becoming aware, becoming apparent, connected, whatever. I lack all the words for it. Anyway, I felt that space open up and it was just a very unique thing. And I mean, I live in a haunted house. Most houses are haunted. Most old houses are haunted a little bit. Not like in a bad way, not in a scary way, but I live in Detroit. It's like a 300-year-old city. I live in a 100-year-old house. And I'm a medium, so there's gonna be spirits where I am usually. But I felt it open up, and I felt it open beyond the typical awareness and interaction of what is in my space. And it was actually a very welcome thing because it was like, "Oh, shit, like, we're tapping back in deeper ways again." And it started to bring to mind, for that next this was a few days ago, so over the next, 24 hours, like, how was my practice before I began to run from myself so fully? What was my practice like before I began to hide away from myself? Um, and so it was just a very cool self-interview, but what followed that was the thought of like, "Okay, how about creating art as a portal back to myself? What about creating a piece just gently that's a return, right? Calling myself home. Not art just to process, and there's nothing wrong with that because it's essential. We have to move through what we're feeling, whether it's writing or dance or singing or fucking screaming it out at the altar or yelling at God, whatever you got to do because listen, God is there. However you conceptualize them, they're going to meet you at the crossroads. That part's not a big deal. Your job is to show up and show up in truth and in fullness to the best of your ability. Okay? Anyway, so I thought about how can I make some art for myself, and I ended up drawing another cool picture yesterday also in semi-darkness. And when I went to look at it this morning, I realized the colors were different than I thought that they were gonna be or different than I had understood them to be the night before. And how I was meditating on this was that, in this space of return to self, it is kind of in semi-darkness. I can't see everything and I can't recognize everything. And there are only so many pathways that I can navigate from memory. And in order to return to self, there have to be some new pathways made. I'm not going backwards into any old versions of myself. I'm getting ready to turn 32 and I chopped all my hair off a while ago. I'm very obviously going in new directions. Um but anyway, I just looked at the whole thing like a self divination, choosing colors, and they were all like blues and teals and purples and violets and gray and stuff, and some yellow and some very bright orange. The bright orange really tied it all together, trust me. I'll post a picture of it later because again, I'm not running downstairs to grab stuff at this moment. That being said, there were moons and a mermaid and a snake and some symbols, just some other different little personal things. Um and I ended up drawing a lot of different lines to connect it. Anyway, I called it Return to Self Through Code, and it made me think of like personal code, right? Obviously, I'm not a coder. I'm going to put myself through some classes for this. But return to self through code and return to self through dreaming. And the intrinsic, if not always seen, connection between our art and our dream world and our love for ourself and our goals forward, right? Because I do think it's an act of love. This is something I meditate on a lot is self-love. And one of the last times I went to the shrine, this is probably a month ago now, I found myself sitting there and having a little prayer time and thinking, I really wanna love myself. And as I thought about it for a second, I was like, "Damn, bitch, I already do love myself. I just wanna feel it. I wanna recognize it. I wanna hold it. I wanna trust it. I already love myself." Um, anyway, that's another conversation for another day as well, because I haven't been to the shrine in a while, and I'm pretty done with the church, which anyway, I don't wanna get off topic too much. God is there for me because God is anywhere that I am, okay? But there are spaces that I no longer desire to be in or find any fruit in for myself. And that's the long and the short of it. But anyway, meditating on these acts of return to self and artwork and trusting the subconscious and trusting the journey all is part of devotion to self. Anyway, that's not a neat thing. I don't know a neat way to wrap that up. I've had a lot of different topics swirling around the last few days, right? Another one has been how, there is no ancestral devotion without love for yourself, right? You can love yourself and practice self-devotion and not be an ancestral devotee. but you cannot be an ancestral devotee and be lacking in love for yourself, lacking in care for yourself. And that doesn't mean we don't falter with things like desire, oh my God, with things like anxiety and insecurity and, questioning, right? And doubt and things like that. Or there are spaces where our faith in ourselves might be shaken. But if you are an ancestral devotee and practice ancestral veneration and do work for your dead to be elevated, the ones who need that help, then kind of like ipso facto, you need to be doing that for yourself, because the first place that your ancestors are, it's not the fucking ether around you and it's not the soil. The first place that your ancestors are is in your bones. It's in your skin and bones right here. You know what I mean? It's in your hair, it's in your crown, it's in your eyes, it's in your heart. Um as I say that, I think about these reflections, something that I want to write at some point. I'm coming up on my grandmother's birthday. My grandmother, who passed in 2025. She passed a week before my 31st birthday. What the fuck? Oh, something something just fell. I forgot it was in the chair with me. She passed a week before my 31st birthday, and this is my paternal grandmother. And her mother was a root worker. She said roots. She would be working the roots. Um, and when she passed, that was a monumental time. And this year since then, or this period of celebration and mourning and prayer, I mean, it's been a trial of a year anyway. This has been my 8th house year. So for my astrology friends, it's been my 8th house year, and it has been an 8th house year. But something that I was thinking about, I've almost lost my thought. Something that I was thinking about now, as I approach, see, yeah, I lost my thought 1,000%. Oh, devotion to self though. Anyway, I lost the thought 100%. I'm so sorry. I completely lost it. Long story short, there is no ancestral devotion without devotion to self. You know what I mean? Tend to you. Oh, that's what it was. Our dreams. So what I learned cleaning out my grandmother's apartment. So my dad, my fiance, and I cleaned out my grandmother's apartment, and it took a month. She was a hoarder, but very, very neat. Like, everything is in boxes, it's all labeled, it has its original packaging. Nothing was dirty or messy. It was just a significant amount of stuff. And in that stuff, I found, it's up there on the bookshelf. I'm not gonna grab it right now. I found a book called On Writing Well. And as I continued to sort through her belongings, I found notes on gerontological care. My grandmother was a registered nurse for a very long time. As far as I recall, she was the first Black director of nursing at Henry Ford, Maine, here in the city. And she maintained her nursing license for years after no longer, working out of the home. What I realized going through her belongings is that she had a desire to write and publish a book. And, her topic of choice was uh, basically medical care for elders. Um, and it really struck me because my first book, Honey, Mini Guide to a Sweet Life, I don't talk about it a lot. I was very proud of it when I first did it. But I've realized in the years since, and this is not to put myself down, but I've realized that it was also something I did kind of in a rushed way, or not to the fullest capacity of what I could offer. So it is a helpful thing to have. I do think it's a solid little guide. And I think it's very pretty. I designed the whole thing, but I want to challenge myself more, right? So not to put myself down. I see better and I know better and I want to offer better. Anyway, what I realized there, though, was that there's this generational desire to be heard, a generational desire to share information and to offer a publication to the world and to see one's name, perhaps in print. Um, and there was a number of other things. I'm very much like my grandmother. Uh, Even down to inheriting her Bible and finding the 5th and 6th book of Moses right next to it. I got her Bible with all the bookmarks and everything. Um, so whoever needs to hear this today, because this was in my morning meditation. Quick side note, Isaiah 41:10 through 13. Anyway, um, but your ancestors live in you and their spirits live on through you, right? Um, we can't offer, I don't think, a completion of our destiny choices or the fullest lived experience for ourselves and them without loving ourselves. And again, loving yourself isn't meaning you always fucking enjoy how you look or whatever. That's ideal. That's great. But loving yourself means facing your fears. Loving yourself means giving yourself compassion and grace. Loving yourself means firing your fucking energy up to start over when you need to start over. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. That's something that I've been meditating on. Now, that being said, I also think about how glamour was such an important part for my ancestors, especially the women on my dad's side, my grandmother, her mother, her sisters, my aunt, uh, who has passed on, but she's from a different part of my dad's family. But my aunt who passed on, and how that act, that space, that body of work, you know what I mean? Hair, nails, perfume, and this is a common thread: hair, nails, perfume, clothing being together, all of that stuff. But adornment as a space of self-love and as a space of care and expression and helping you to move through the world. Um, a little touch of sweetness and beauty goes a long way. I say with no scarf and nothing going on, but my nails are done. My nails are done. But also I didn't plan to really be talking all this much. So anyway, what do I got? Oh, I always sound like such an old person when I talk. The gerontological studies is interesting to me too, because what had catalyzed me to once upon a time go to school for pastoral ministry was because I wanted to implement programs for basically pastoral and emotional support for long-term caregivers. Pardon me, because uh I worked in a nursing home and then I worked in a convent for a few years after that. And there's a lot of spaces where people, I think, provide care services and then kind of get left in the dust or the changeover, uh, when deaths occur in those spaces or whatever. Anyway, that's not a super fun topic, but, you know. What's going on with everybody now that I've rattled for, like, a long time? You know what I mean? I missed being on here. I'll record this. I'll save this one as well. Uh, what else was I gonna talk about? Like, well, first of all, I wanna know what's going on with everybody's life because it's been a while. And second of all, what have I been cooking? I've been cooking so much stuff. Our friend came over the other day, like I said, and I fried platanos and then I made spaghetti with ground turkey and smoked sausage and bell peppers. And anyway, it was actually really, really, really good. I'm trying to figure out what I'm gonna do tonight. Maybe chicken and salad and black beans. I'm not sure. I don't like growing up, I never liked potato salad or chicken salad or anything that involved mayo. That shit disgusts me, and it still does. Frankly, it still just irks me to my bone marrow. But that's beside the point right now. What does matter is I discovered that I can make my own like good chicken salad or potato salad if I use Greek yogurt or sour cream as a base. So a while ago, I marinated chicken drumsticks, which I also don't usually like, but chicken drumsticks with a ton of really good like I had cilantro, fresh orange peel, green onion, chopped white onion, turmeric, white pepper, mustard, some salt, a bunch of other little stuff in there. Anyway, marinated them chicken drumsticks for like 7 hours, roasted those in the oven. After I roasted those in the oven, I made some crispy potatoes. So basically boil your potatoes with the skin on still because you don't want to get a bunch of moisture into the potatoes. You want them to kind of hold how they are. Boil those until they're like 3/4 of the way cooked. Take them out, let them cool. It's better if you let them cool first. If you can't, it is what it is. But let them cool. While they're cooling, turn your oven up to like 400. I mean, mine was already hot because I had just roasted chicken, but turn your oven up to like 400. Um, Put your potatoes kind of chopped into the oven with whatever oil. You could use just cooking oil. I also like it better with bacon fat or with chicken fat. I love pork products. I'm not gonna lie to you. I feel like I'm such a like a carnivorous person. So it's better if you have some you know what I mean, bacon grease or chicken fat or whatever, but you could just use canola oil or vegetable oil. See, yes, some curry chicken sounds so good. Put your potatoes in the oven though with that oil and maybe a little bit of garlic powder and a little bit of salt, whatever. Not too much. You want the potato flavor to actually be there. Rotate them a couple times throughout cooking. You just gotta eyeball it. I don't have an exact cook time, maybe an hour, maybe a little more, a little less. You just want to keep an eyeball on them. Let those cool as well. Then when you go to actually make, well, A, eat some of that for dinner, okay? You know what I mean? Eat some of your chicken legs, eat some of your potatoes, whatever, make you a little gravy, have some of that for dinner. But the next day, when the chicken is cool and the crispy potatoes are cool, separate the meat off the drumsticks or chicken thighs, whatever you like to do. I like chicken thighs better. Kind of dice your potatoes up a little bit more and set that to the side. In your actual like large salad bowl, whatever you use, chop up a bunch of dill, just like a bunch, just a fucking, it's a ton of dill. I don't know. I don't measure anything and I always have just stuff in my house. This is an ingredient household, not a snack household. I cook at least something once a day, usually twice a day. But anyway, chop up a bunch of dill, a bunch of cilantro. In that same bowl, put your, scoop and a half or whatever of plain Greek yogurt or sour cream. And then you could do lime juice, lemon juice, or vinegar. Totally up to you. I like lime juice best, but that's just me. Sometimes I add a little bit of brown mustard, Dijon mustard, whatever you want to do, some of that. And a little bit of salt and mix that up very well. You could add some garlic powder if you want to that as well. But the goal is to mostly have the cilantro, dill, as the main flavor. Anyway, do that and toss in your crispy potatoes and your chicken. That's gonna be so good. I usually add cucumbers and white onions to that as well. Um, I don't know. I make a ton of salads. I live close to Dearborn and I have lived in Dearborn a number of times and worked out there. So I make a lot of like Lebanese inspired salads. Like you will very much find a cucumber, tomato, parsley, onion situation in my house. I got a jar of sumac in the cupboard. Mix that with a little bit of lemon juice and a little touch of like avocado oil or something. It's so good. It is so good. You'll be so happy to eat it, bro. Your heart will be absolutely happy to eat it. I don't know what else. I don't know. I cooked down a ton of onions the other day, like 5 or 6 onions with some butter, added a little bit of a beef bouillon packet because I wasn't trying to do everything 100% full scratch. And then some chicken thighs that we had cooked the night before in the air fryer. I chopped those up and added them in and basically made like a like a smothered chicken gravy type thing and had that over roasted potatoes and rice, and that was really, really good. That was very much comfort food vibes. It just depends on the mood I'm in and what I bought. Like, I made oatmeal for breakfast this morning. I'm trying to actually eat breakfast. I'm not good at that, never have been. Trying to actually eat breakfast. I've been having apples, like slowly kind of gently cooked apples diced up with some spices or whatever and oatmeal, but today I added half a sweet potato to it. It was all right. I won't lie. It wasn't my favorite flavor combo. I'm wondering, can I make some sweet potato oat bars, like breakfast bars? Because I think that would be better. And then I know tonight I got my eyes on some black beans and then maybe some banana sweet potato fritters or something. I really don't know. I just do stuff in the kitchen. Curry chicken just sounds so good. Now I'm thinking about that. I got some chicken I thawed for today. We're gonna find out. We're gonna see what happens. My favorite thing that I've made, and I shared the recipe for it, or the closest that I could get for a recipe. But my favorite thing that I made was the hazelnut cake. So I've been shelling these fucking hazelnuts. Got these hazelnuts at Meyer because that's the store by my job that I can walk to right now. Got these hazelnuts on sale at Meijer on clearance. It was like $1.50 a pack, so I didn't give a fuck that they were in the shelves. $1.50 for a bag of hazelnuts, great price. So first of all, the first day I had them, I realized we don't have a nutcracker in my house at all. Not a single fucking one. Not even close. What I do have is a pair of kitchen scissors that has that weird little center part with the teeth on it. You can use it to open bottles and stuff like that. Anyway, that works as a nutcracker. So roasted some hazelnuts. They were amazing. Boom. The day, maybe not the next day, but 2 days later, I was home again because my schedule is from home a lot. Uh, Shelled them all. That took a good minute. Shelled all them damn hazelnuts. Um, I've been watching a bunch of documentaries on Tubi. I made like a 20, like a collection of like 20 documentaries and docuseries. Um, on Black history and African history and just the diaspora in general, on music, on resistance, on art, all this different stuff. I'll put the list on Substack soon. I've been meaning to because it's been a very, very nice adventure so far. I won't lie though, today I watched Emancipation Road, the first episode of it while I was working out, and that shit had me heated certain parts of it. It's not even that it was a bad docuseries episode. It's a very informative, pretty solid episode. It's that sometimes things just make me mad, and it fueled my workout so well. I cuss out Thomas Jefferson every chance I get, and every time he's mentioned. And that goes for all the founding fathers. I cuss them out every chance I get. I hope they rot in hell. Anyway, that's the side note though. I was watching another one of those documentaries the day that I was shelling hazelnuts. I actually watched one about Nat Turner and another one following that about Bass Reeves. Both very interesting. Um where was I going with this? Hazelnut cake. I started making bread because that's what I normally do. So the base of this bread had, brown sugar, yeast, and water, yada, yada, yada. I ended up making a cake out of it. I have not stopped fucking thinking about this cake for weeks. I made 3 cakes. I mean, 3 cakes. The first 2 of them were gone the day they were made. No, that's not true. 1.5 were gone the night that they were made. And the second half of the second cake was gone the very next day. The third cake was much larger and it took us a couple days to eat. But I was like, I gotta stop. First of all, I gotta stop eating cake every day like this. This can't be good for me. But it was good for my spirit though. It was good for my heart though. You know what I mean? It was good for the essence of my life. I feel like it was empowering to my hands type shit. But it was so good. It was full of like roasted hazelnuts and chopped up chocolate, and I made a cream cheese frosting for it with more chopped chocolate and chopped roasted hazelnuts. So I got 1 bag of hazelnuts left and I'm plotting on it. I don't have any more chocolate to chop up. That was another random clearance buy. I will always, that's the most Midwestern thing. Well, no, it's a lot of Midwestern things about me, but one for sure Midwestern thing about me is I'm going to find a sale, bitch. I'm going to find some clearance. I know exactly where to look. I'm going to make it work. I'm going to put it together. It's going to be good. Cause I'm not trying to spend all that money and I never will be trying to. Unless it's on something that I want for me, like at the beauty supply shop. And as soon as I get a few more inches on my head, I'm going to buy some hair so I can get back to braiding practice. Um, but, but, and I had a dream that I was braiding my hair. To circle back to the dream topic for a minute. So, in my dreams last night, I was lighting candles for myself and tending to my head, very literally braiding my hair. And I woke up and I thought, how fascinating is that? You know what I mean? I've been wanting to do it anyway, but in my mind, that's not just an example of, just a hairstyle, quote unquote, just. We know that getting our hair done feeds the spirit, but it was a beautiful example from the spirit of myself to my waking self of how I'm taking care of me, how I'm leaning into that care of me. So anyway, um, I don't even know what time it is. Okay, I'm good. I'm good. Uh, I gotta be done by like 5:40, even 5:30. Anyway, um, so long story short, I've been cooking a ton. I dropped one card, but long story short, I've been cooking a ton. Been doing my lunar mansion studies. I'm debating on doing some a daily little podcast on the lunar mansions as continuing practice. I've been journaling about them and tracking them for a year and a half. And I tend to send my mom a daily or nearly daily breakdown of the lunar mansion plus how it goes with her chart So I think it's important to understand not only what's happening that day, but how it's happening in context or relationship to your specific chart, to your specific situation. So anyway, I'm thinking about that. Today, see, I'm not 1,000% sure for today. I'm thinking black beans. I don't know if the platanos that I have are where I want them yet. I think I was texting you about this the other day. They would be very good. They're good for frying. I don't know if I want them a little bit sweeter or not. So I'm thinking black beans, chicken, platanos, and salad. And I'm not gonna lie, I don't feel like doing a ton of work. We got a salad mix in the fridge. I love those stupid Taylor Farm salads. If I learn a bad thing about that, you know what? I'm gonna have to look it up though, because I can't support bad brands. Um, but but I like the Taylor Farms salad kits because they're really good. So I think that, and maybe I'll be super lazy and just do air fryer chicken and the Taylor Farms salad mix. I haven't decided yet. I've been pretty busy today in the house. So I'm like, I'm kind of done with all the extra stuff. And I don't like doing a billion dishes. I cook so much, there's always so many dishes. See, exactly. It's just ancestral. That's why I don't ever have measurements. Because like what do I look like measuring shit? Absolutely not. The method is in the moment, okay? The moment is the method. It's very much ancestral guidance. And I've been cooking my whole life. I've been cooking since I was a kid. The grandmother that I was speaking of earlier, we a lot of family relationships were strained even before I was an adult. A lot of the adults in my life had strained and estranged family relationships. As I got into adulthood, even with repair efforts, that was still a thing. Um, but the grandmother that I was speaking of earlier, she was a phenomenal cook. I inherited a ton of her cookbooks, which I'm so matter of fact, I got her recipes up on the altar right now. I got a little plastic pocket with her handwritten recipes. She wrote it in the most neat little cursive script and then like taped them all over in clear plastic so they stay nice. I have those and I have a bunch of her cookbooks, but she was the first one I think to start teaching me how to cook, and she started teaching me by making thumbprint jam cookies. And this is way back. The first house that I remember her ever having was on Harbor Island, near the canals on the east side. So a lot of my family's from the east side. I live on the west side now. Where was I going with that? But yeah, I don't know what I'm doing tonight. Work smarter, not harder, very much. I'm not trying to do too much today. I want it to be easy peasy lemon squeezy. I do have a bunch of fresh oranges and limes and lemons, so I might make like a lemonade blend either with stevia or brown sugar. I'm not sure yet. It's going to be something. Um but yeah, I'm debating doing a daily astro check-in. That's something I talk about a lot offline, like a ton offline. I study every day, but I don't talk about it as much online. But that was an idea I had today, which makes sense because I'm in an Aquarius month, as everything is now in Aquarius. Not everything. The moon is in Taurus, Jupiter is in Cancer, but Mercury, Mars, Pluto, Venus, and the sun are all in Aquarius right now. Um, just fucking fascinating. But anyway, right? I can give exactly. I depending on what it is, I will taste it. Like if it's a soup I'm making throughout the day, because I tend to do a lot of homemade bone broth, like homemade stock and stuff like that. I will check the salt levels and cohesiveness of stuff throughout the day with those. But for the most part, yeah, no, I just know what I'm doing. I've been cooking my whole fucking life. I know exactly what I'm doing. I've been cooking since before I could talk all the way. See, red beans sounds good. I don't have any. I got some butter beans. I could make some butter beans today. I don't know. See, I do have some okra. It's not fresh though. I got some frozen okra. I thought about doing okra and tomatoes soon. I'm not sure. And I would ask this man what he would want to eat, but I'm not going to because he likes everything I cook. So that's always a non-essential thing. Sometimes I'll ask like, "What are you in the mood for?" But usually it's just, "This is what I'm making." So maybe I'll do I don't know. I really don't know. I really don't know. It's hard, I feel like, to find fresh okra over here. I've had, like, 2 or 3 good instances of getting fresh okra out here. Imma just have to grow it myself. Um, I grew potatoes twice last year, and I love doing that. I love connecting with plants. I've had gardens on and off my whole life, but I think I kinda wanna grow some more stuff this year. Ooh, I'm not sure. I'm not sure at all. Nightshades are fascinating plants. Like, nightshades and alliums are 2 of my favorite bodies of plants, honestly. And I kind of miss, like, my crazy old apartment. I was talking about this with my friend the other day. My old apartment was insane. The first night I was there, motherfuckers got into, like, a, like, 6-hour fight that resulted in one man holding the other man upside down over the balcony of the stairs. Um, they was really fighting that bitch too. There was blood stains on the walls for the rest of my duration in that apartment, which was like a year and a half, 2 years. It was a man passed out on my fucking doorstep at one point. So that was something I had to step over his bald drunk head to get into my apartment. That was crazy. There are so many crazy stories in that apartment, but the reason I bring it up is because it had 2 absolutely beautiful lilac bushes in the front and a mulberry tree across the street and a mulberry tree hanging over the back, and sometimes Rose of Sharon would blossom, through the fence from the other house as well. And for the most part, I've always lived somewhere with beautiful plants, whether or not they were intentional or they just happened to be there. And in Detroit, there's a lot of mulberry, a lot of pokeweed, a lot of Rose of Sharon. My yard is full of poke. My whole yard is full of poke. See, that's a good idea too. The black beans in the salad. I thought about that. I might have to do that. That would be really good, frankly. I think I'm gonna do that. That might win out for today's plan. Um, yeah, I get a lot of frozen okra. I need to know what those plants are in front of your house. The nightshade family is huge, right? Potatoes are nightshade, peppers are nightshade, tomatoes are nightshade. It's a very, very large family of plants. Like, when we talk about a mother plant spirit, nightshade is in that bitch. One thing for sure and 2 things for certain, nightshade can either kill you or feed you, and that's very much given. I brought you into this world, and I can take you back out of it energy to me. Ooh, cherries. Oh, on the side of your house. So I'm like, are cherries nightshades? No, I don't think so. Maybe they are. I know that, almonds are related to peaches. Um, and what else? I think are apples and roses related? It's roses and something that are related. And then lilac is in the olive family, if I recall correctly. So it's very interesting when you look at it. I remember when I worked at the plant store, and it's like so many things were a type of philodendron. What else? Bromeliads are really, really cool, right? Air plants are a type of bromeliad. Pineapples are bromeliads. Um, That's a whole nother conversation for another day. I still need to get back to talking about houseplants and hoodoo and houseplants and colonization, because there's really something to be said for a lot of the plants that got adopted as tropical houseplants as a fucking status symbol in the Victorian era, being things that belong to, undergrowth and shade areas and are essential for soil health and also come from countries that have been colonized. I very firmly believe that you can connect to ancestral regions with plants from those regions, even if those plants were grown in a nursery here. But that's just my little 2 cents on houseplants and colonization, because I've written about it before and I'll write about it again. Dieffenbachia, Dumcane, really high on that list for something to talk to regarding remediation and health and a space where sorrow and grief and anyway, I'm not gonna get into all that. If you know about Dumcane, you know about Dumcane, and it's also a very popular plant in Black households. It's also a very popular plant for funeral gifts for some reason. Peace lilies are more popular for funeral gifts. That's fascinating about ground cherries. I did not know that. There are so many spaces where first of all, everything is connected, right? But the spaces and groups of interconnection are so fascinating to me. It's a lot. It's actually getting cold in here also. As the sun goes down, put on my Grinch suit. There we go. All right. I don't know why I rub my hands like that. Like, all right, here we go. But I dropped a card though. Oh. So because I know myself, um this is my favorite thing. My fiance got this for me as a surprise to cheer me up around Christmas time because I was going through it. And it's huge. It's like gigantic. I'm 5'2". Hold on. This thing is it's so big. It's so baggy. You can't even see all of it, but I love it so much and it's cozy and warm. Ugh, I'm so happy that my curls are coming back. For the first time, my hair was so short, it wouldn't even curl. I was like, "Oh my god, I can't do this. I can't do this ever again. I feel absolutely naked without my curls." That being said, chopping all my hair off on the eclipse was one of the best things I ever did for myself. So, when I tell you so much anxiety was gone, okay? So much anxiety. I was stressed about so many things. All of a sudden, I cut my hair off and I felt like my head was silent in a peaceful way. Yes, it gives Snuggy vibes for real, but it has, like, the little, like, Grinch fluff. So but it doesn't have any pockets. I wish I had pockets. What was I gonna say? Before I wrap this up, because another Midwestern thing about me is a Midwestern goodbye. Before I wrap this up, my thought is maybe pull a couple cards just as like general group advice if people are interested in consenting. I'm a big fan of you know what I mean, only stay for cards if you want to be around for them. And I'll show you the big paintings. I'll show you the paintings first. These are the ones that I did in the summertime. Um, and I'm thinking about turning them into stickers and posters or stickers and prints. But if I can grab all of them, this is the same card that fell out the first time. All right, we're going to keep that. We're going to come back to that one in a second. Let's see. Oh, I'm just knocking stuff over. Anyway, I don't even know if the whole painting will show. I'm trying not to go from the That's one of them. Oh, don't fall. And there's this one. And this is the second one. This is probably my favorite one. Oh, and this is the third one, which honestly, part of me loves it, part of me doesn't love it, but part of me loves it because it is another one of those return to self through code type things. Oh, they're so big in real life. Wait. I feel like a little tiny person, oh, next to these paintings. Anyway, these were processing and returning to self pieces, and I think I want to turn them into like stickers or something. But Anyway, I've got a lot of art in my closet that I need to do something with, frankly. I've got like 50 paintings. I keep dreaming of doing a gallery show and then I'll make anywhere from like 3 to 10 pieces and then I'm a different person before I ever do anything cohesive with them. I don't know, a ton of coffee shops in Detroit, you can like get your art there. So I thought about that too, but anyway, anyway, um there is one card that popped out twice or yeah, twice. If you are interested in cards or in like a 2 to 3 card little general message for the evening, for the week, pardon me, for going forward this week. There we go. Hang around, let me know. And if you're not interested, then don't participate in this part. I'm a big fan of, like I said, consent and, doing a little divination check before you receive words from somebody. But anyway, yeah, that's exactly what it is. That is exactly what that one is. And I ended up being on my cycle when I was working on that piece. That piece took weeks. The second one, uh, it took a couple weeks and it had like 3 or 4 different like real versions to it. And I wept and screamed making it. And I think I wrote down notes. I probably took video and wrote a little essay for the process of all of them. Um, but I was really going through it with that one. And it is a piece about rebirth and connection to the uterus, connection to the body, connection to the portal of life and of self. Something that I have struggled with in adulthood has been fertility and like some hormone issues. But also just feeling connected to my own body, like for real. And that's a lifelong thing. I've always felt like, someone holding a camera kind of just behind my head. I'm always having a weird, weird feeling moment of like, oh my God, like I'm not just up here, like I am my whole body, like my fingers and toes and shit. Which is cool though too, because those are helpful reminders. Um, but but anyway, that piece is very much rebirth, connection, empowerment. It was a very goddessy image in all of its iterations, except for the first one. In the first one, it was a lot of like lines and dashes and dots. Which I'm gonna keep playing with as an idea, the lines and dashes and dots, the spiritual code of myself. But anyway, that's the one that I think would be the coolest as like a notebook cover or as stickers or whatever. I'm not really big on the idea of making merchandise out of things, but I do think it would be kind of cool to have some stuff made out of that. It's getting dark in here. Oh, the light, the actual room light does not um does not work currently because it burned out and I don't wanna mess with it all that much. It's one of those it's just a stupid light cover. Anyway, I have a couple lamps. Let me see if I should see if they're plugged in. I also need to wrap this up soon anyway. Okay, so right, yeah, see, I think a journal cover would go crazy. Thank you guys. I think that would really go crazy. Like, I really think that would be the thing to do is a journal cover for real. I'm about to do that, bro. I'm about to release another Chapel of Honey Return to Self journal situation. Like, return to yourself through dreaming, return to yourself through art, through the kitchen, through journaling. One thing for sure and two things for certain, bitch. I'm always gonna come out on top. And journaling is a big part of that. I didn't even know what I was gonna say right there. I surprised myself. But journaling is a very big part of that. You have to write it. You gotta write it. You gotta speak it. Okay. You gotta write it and speak it. It cannot live up here. As much as I talk about experiencing the world in my head a lot, you need to journal it. You need to speak it. You need to sing it. Say it out loud. Speak over your work. Write it down. I was recently gifted a planner and it's cool because I had wanted one for Christmas. Didn't get one for Christmas. That's not a big deal. I'm a grown ass woman. So so I started looking to order one or pick one out somewhere, and I had not found one yet that I would like. and one of my good friends sent it by way of my fiance to me. He went out to visit people. I'm not always that social, so I send little gifts with him to give to her. She sent gifts back to me. And one of the things was a notebook and planner set. And the notebook, I know exactly how I'm going to use it, what I'm going to use it for. It's right on time to execute an idea that I've been having. Um, but that's another conversation for another day. But the planner is absolutely perfect. When I tell you I have worked planners in a craft and conjure sense over the years so many times for houses, for raises, for new jobs, even just to tackle anxiety, right? You know what I mean? Write your daily stuff down, your daily goals, whatever, and I am capable. I am able. I am confident, whatever it is. And I have mixed feelings at this point about things like affirmations and manifestation, not because they're bad, not because they're non-existent, whatever. I think they have been I think the space has been oversaturated and people have turned a lot of things into a watered down commodity. That being said, a personal practice of writing your own healing into being, writing your own growth into being, calling your own forward motion into being, that's very real. Let me try to put a light on real fast though. Not I don't know if that's gonna do much. We're gonna find out. Okay. We got a little resolution back. I love journaling and I don't do it all the time. I do it fairly often, like in cycles, but through December, all December, I wrote anywhere from like 3 to 8 pages a day. And it's just because I always have so much on my mind. And alongside that no longer smoking thing, my pretty lifelong journey with insomnia kind of spiked back up really bad. So journaling is something that assisted with that. Um, but what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, I do gotta wrap this up. So let me pull a couple cards if you guys are interested. But yes, journaling goes such a long way. However you can do it, right? Give yourself grace, give yourself compassion. Write in a random notebook. I got a composition notebook that I keep running. I've got an actual journal. I've got a travel journal. I add stuff in my planner in like the extra notes section. I do voice notes to myself on my phone. There's always something happening. And also what I will say, even though I just said I was gonna pull cards, what I will say is it can be very supportive of your Mercury placement, right? We're gonna take a quick foray into astrology. Um, which is just my favorite thing. I really need to talk about that more because I almost want to just focus on astrology with clients. But we know that's not going to happen because it's an ancestral space. So it's going to be a blend no matter what. But I have Pisces Mercury where Mercury ends up being both in detriment and fall. Mercury's preferred home, his preferred domicile is Virgo, and Mercury's exaltation is also his domicile of Virgo. So Pisces Mercury is not quite happy, or maybe not feeling super resourced or understood or easily able to convey information, right? And what I have found is that utilizing planners, and planners specifically, utilizing planners specifically, writing in and of itself can be supportive of that Mercury space, but utilizing planners specifically is very supportive. And I can't explain everything behind it, but I will say even money flows better when I'm using a planner. So, anyways, to take that with a grain of salt, take it as you will, take your own chart into account. I also have Mercury, conjoined Mars. And even though it's in Pisces, it's in Mars decan and Mars bound. So and then Mars is in mutual reception with Jupiter inside of himself, trying his own house. Anyway, that's a long story too. And there's no point in talking about it right now. At the end of the day, Mars is doing a bunch of shit in my chart that I always have to keep in mind. But putting some order to my mind with a planner and a journal, and spending some time working out or doing something good for my body is always a great combo support space for those placements. Okay. We have 3 cards. I'll stick with those 3 cards for now. And like I said, I'll keep this recording up. Uh, it was very cool hanging out. I didn't even plan to be on here this long. Um, I wanna start working on those black beans soon. But we have 3 cards for today, and I'm using my own playing card deck. The notes on it are taken primarily from the Grandma Baby Apothecary Black Gold, no, not the Black Gold, the 52 Blues. If you know me, you know I love the Grandma Baby Apothecary decks. Imma always use them. I'm sticking beside them. Cards just flying out. Okay, 4 cards. We have 4 cards, that's it. So, we're gonna start with the card that flew out twice, and I'm starting with that one because I put it back in the deck and reshuffled, and it flew out again, so it had something to say. So, and I'm not doing super in depth. Take these as you will. You know what I mean? Put it in your back pocket. Put it in your notebook. But we have the 9 of Hearts, and this space has felt very 9 of Hearts to me. But the note on it says gentle journeys, but because my handwriting is so fucked, it looks like gentle journals, and that's why I was laughing. But anyway, gentle journeys. Um Gentle journeys. The note there is more around meditation. So these are not exact to how you might be reading playing cards. This is my personalized deck, but gentle journeys, allowing yourself to expand with grace and compassion for yourself, allowing yourself to enter new spaces and try new experiences. Um, and not like in a harsh way, right? We could also consider some Nine of Cups energy here, not a direct correlation. They're not the same. Just want to give you some thoughts. Uh, so what is it that helps your heart feel fulfilled? What is it that helps you feel supported and joyful and, emotionally full, I guess. Um, the other note on this is Sabbath, so rest, okay? This is not a week to be doing crazy shit. These are notes for the week. This is not a week to be doing crazy shit. Maybe read some new books, revisit some classic books. If there's a book that you've read over the last 10 years or 15 years, read it again and then read it again, because you and the book at this point have grown together. You can practice self-divination and reflection just through reading a long-standing book companion. And we also have Psalm 23 and dreams, which is fascinating because we talked a lot about dreams today. Psalm 23 ain't never did me wrong ever in my life. Something that I do not do often enough, but always benefit from when I do it, is write Psalm 23 in my journal or in a regular use notebook. And that part is important because it has to be something that you've built life and connection with, right? Stuff has to be brought to life in a conjure sense. So Psalm 23 in a regular use notebook or journal, and even do that weekly. I like writing it on a Thursday or a Monday, and right now Jupiter is exalted. I know that Jupiter is retrograde, but Jupiter is exalted, and we only have that until like what, June? And then not again for 12 years. Okay. Jupiter's just one sign a year. So Jupiter in Cancer not coming again for 12 years. If you really want to pair some psalm work for those who are not all hoodoo eligible but like to do some works, if you would like to pair some psalm work with some astro magic, I would look for a good Thursday or a good Monday, especially in February, because Venus is going to be in Pisces in February as well, which is Venus's exaltation, which means we will get Jupiter trine Venus. Um, if you want to talk about that more in depth, book a session. But Jupiter trine Venus, ideally on a day where the moon is not squaring anything, okay? Not just interactions with the malefics, Mars and Saturn, but not squaring anything. Additionally, a positive aspect with Saturn is not going to be horrible. A sextile or a trine you can still get some of that energy, to benefit. But again, another conversation for another day. The next card that we had that flew out, we have the Six of Clubs. I'm holding it like anybody can read my writing through the screen anyway. But the Six of Clubs. So when I look at clubs, I kind of think about wands. Again, tarot and playing cards are not exactly the same, and you need to tailor things to how you read. But I'm looking at balance of energy, how you are kind of reading the playing field of your life at that time, or, for this week coming up. This card says, money can't buy this. Call in divine love, devotionals, and prayer. Um, so, you know what I mean? Are you dealing with conflict? We're all dealing with conflict of some kind. That's life. Calling in divine love, calling in support. If there's something that you're looking at, for romance, how can you tend to yourself? How can you offer yourself some romance? How can you offer yourself some prayer work that supports your spiritual energy? So some things that support your juju, right? So anyway, build your spirit up this week. Boom. It's hard it's hard to give a general reading, right? I'm a big fan of tailoring things to the exact person, but this is kind of a general group reading just for the week ahead. Um, we also have the Ace of Hearts here. So lots of potential and beginnings this week. But how you handle them is important, of course. Mental and emotional health, the devil is still the devil. So the devil that you know is still the devil, okay? Cry, sing it out, tend to spirit by calling in help, and balance medicine. So in that case, balance how you're utilizing medicines, and also balance itself will be medicinal. So this in tandem with the other two cards that we've talked about so far, I would very much say this is a week to survey. This is a week to do your divinations, to see what's going on, to, make your plans, and then kind of take stock of your energy, your supplies, your resources, and what will be most supportive of your desired actions and the desired outcome for them, right? So, divine before you move type shit. Tend to your heart this week. It's fucking cold. It's not going to get warmer for a minute. Tend to your heart this week. Tend to your spirit. Check in with your ancestors. Spend some time, you know what I mean, with you this week. Again, Psalm 23, dreams, gentle journeys, divination with the self. Our last card, and this is an important one. We have the Nine of Diamonds. Now, this is not on the card, but what comes to mind immediately is harvest. So just jot that down somewhere. The actual notes that I've written on here are defy propaganda. That's a big one. That's a big fucking one. That's big this week. That's big next week. That's big in the following weeks. That's not a little fun message. That's not a little soft message. Defy propaganda. Defy propaganda. Defy propaganda. It is going to get louder. It's going to get stronger. It is going to get more insidious. The desire to have your mind warped against your fellow man, your fellow neighbor, warped against your own self. Do not let the outside forces spin a fucking story to you, okay? Return to sender, rebuke. So that's in relation not only to propaganda and to harmful forces. We know that the ICE brigade is out here doing their absolute god's awful cruel fucking worst. So fuck them. But anyway, return to sender, rebuke it, okay? Rebuke it. Rebuke it when you see their name. When the commercial pops up on your TV, rebuke them. When you do your prayers, rebuke them. When you pour out your water for your ancestors, empower your warriors, empower the revolutionaries, offer those prayers of coverage for the people on the front lines in places. If you have a friend or a family member, whatever, who's out there doing, canvassing patrols for the community, cover them in prayer. Like we talked about writing out Psalm 23, you can write out Psalm 91 and you can write it around somebody's name. You feel me? So, like I said, there's all the soft messages of the week, and then there's this. So I'm going to say that again. Just like you can write out Psalm 23 for benefit, put that person's name in the middle and write Psalm 91 around it, or however you are accustomed to and have your family or personal style of doing your petitions. The other notes on this say question power and fortify self. Ancestral tech is the real tech. The beginning note was harvest that I said, right? So what I had in mind for a second was not the Nine of Pentacles, but actually the Seven of Pentacles. But the nine is still relevant here. Because again, they're not the exact same. I have to say that every time. Playing cards and tarot related, not the same. But the thought that I have there is, what are we allowing to grow? You know what I mean? What are we allowing to grow? So right now, today, tomorrow, throughout the week, whatever, take that moment to fortify your mind and spirit against propaganda, against cruelty, against harm. Anything that is inciting you to act as surveillance for the state, anything that is inciting you to become an arm of the poison, that is something to stamp out. It's something to get rid of. It's not literally put it, you know what I mean, in a fucking freezer, in a freezer bag with water, fill up and put it in the freezer, freeze them bitches, flush them, poison them. Anyway, I don't have an eloquent way to say it. This was our Nine of Diamonds card. Question power, fortify self, defy propaganda, fortify, and ancestral tech is the real tech. And ancestral tech is not something that's always said out loud. Okay? We have got to get really good at communicating in a multitude of ways. So before I get extra serious in here, quick review our cards that were just a little bit of a note for the week. Started out with Psalm 23, dreams, returning to self, rest, gentle journeys, and the Nine of Hearts. I would note that having two nines and an ace in our little pile is giving some things are ending as others are starting to begin. Allow yourself that space to let things end. Allow yourself that space to put things to rest, to review, before you move forward. Of course, devotionals and calling in divine love, prayer, and ritual was here as well with our Six of Clubs. So supporting your energy and supporting your energy on long journeys, supporting your energy in all of your endeavors. Take stock of what you have, what you need. Do those checks with your ancestors. Do that divination with yourself before making moves. The Ace of Hearts. Don't be fooled by something that just looks pretty on the outside. Okay. What do we have right there? Oh yeah, cry and sing it out. So tend to your heart, right? Tend to your heart. We're in some very difficult times right now. There's no way around that. Tend to your heart. If you gotta cry, cry. What did I say at the very beginning of this? God is gonna meet you in the crossroads. Your only job is to show up. It doesn't have to be any one set place, one particular way, or in any kind of perfection. I've come to God in every single version of my mess and my beauty, okay? God is going to meet you at the center. You just need to show up in full, in sincerity, and then let that interaction in the middle do its work. So cry it out, dance it out, sing it out. I've been playing Victory by the Clark Sisters a lot. I know I recommend that song all the time, but when I tell you that song is good for your life, it's good for your life. That it is. It just is. And balanced medicine was the other note on that Ace of Hearts. So, don't get too much in one direction or the other. Practice some moderation, practice some balance. See how you can keep yourself stable and grounded to the best of your ability. And rebuke propaganda, fortify your spirit. See what's being planted. What are we allowing to grow? And what are we I'm looking for the right word. What can we bring to fruition instead? What has been allowed to grow and what can we bring to fruition instead? Um with that, I am going to actually wrap this up for real. I don't know why I'm always looking out my window nosy as fuck like it's not a whole neighborhood of people. Anyway, that's how you know I'm nosy, because my cat sometimes puts his little face in the blinds like he's trying to look at stuff. I got such old people tendencies. that's all beside the point too. I think I'm gonna go get those black beans together so I can either mix them with the salad and have the chicken on it or have them on the side. It depends on what mood I'm in when I get downstairs, to be honest. But but thank you everybody for hanging out. Um Holy Creator and loving ancestors, thank you for this space. Loving ancestors and guides, thank you for this space. Please cover everybody in your grace and your goodness and good direction, good clarity, and good protection. I wish nothing but blessings for every single person, and I look forward to, yes, have an awesome week on purpose. I like that. Thank you guys. I hope you enjoy your dinners. I'm looking forward to doing more of these because it's been a while, but I missed it. Um, so anyway, yes, I love you. Have a beautiful day. Have a beautiful night. Have a wonderful week. Uh, and I guess I'm gonna end it if I can. Oh, there it is. I'm always like, how do I end the call? It's not a fucking FaceTime call. Anyway, I'll see you guys later. Mwah.